Welcome to Royal Family News Update, your ultimate destination for all things royal. We are here to provide you with the most comprehensive and up-to-date coverage of the captivating world of royalty. Take this weekend in the U.S., when the land of the free was busy celebrating their independence from that rotter George III back in 1776. The day is all about throwing off of the yoke of British tyranny, so what better occasion for Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, to put his head above the parapet. The self-exiled Duke was out and about in his and his wife Meghan's hometown of Montecito, a moneyed enclave 2 hours north of Los Angeles, over the holiday weekend, a fact we know thanks to the efforts of the area's eagle-eyed paparazzi. However, while these new shots show the 38-year-old giving us classic flavor Harry, kinda glum expression, khaki shirt, what is unusual is who was with him, namely his adorable 2-year daughter Princess Lilibet. Note the time and the place here, people. What these photos represent is a miserable first for the tiny princess. A little girl named after an iconic queen and 7th in line to the throne, her first time being papped. Her brother Prince Archie was only about 8 months old when he hit his milestone. In early 2020, he and his mother were papped while out walking in a park near their borrowed pile on Vancouver Island. During that time, they also filmed paps in helicopters, boats and cars pursuing them. The footage would later be used in their Netflix docuseries. Months later, when the Sussexes relocated to another borrowed mega mansion, this time in Beverly Hills, drones and helicopters were flown over the garden by photo agencies to try and snap the tiny boy. In the Duke and Duchess Netflix series, a must for masochists and budding propagandists looking to pick up some tips, viewers see a distressed Meghan explaining that Archie had been woken up at 5 a.m. by helicopters overhead. As they later wrote in a privacy lawsuit, choppers were flown over their backyard, as early as 5:30 a.m. and as late as 7 p.m., waking neighbors and their son, day after day. And still, others have even cut holes in the security fence itself to peer through it. While the couple took legal action over this and the Canadian Park incidents, triumphing on both counts, this has only just been a taste of things to come. When it was reported in 2020 that they had bought a home in Montecito, a couple of hours north of Los Angeles, TMZ said their new neighbors were already fed up, and that choppers are zooming over Harry and Meghan's hood, sometimes 4 times a day, and paps are staking out their home in a nearby shopping center. Let me make one thing clear here. Say what you will about Le Sussex Mere and Purr, but you would be hard-pressed to find 2 parents more adoring than them. In ditching the UK for the US and freedom, they clearly did what they thought was right for their children's futures. But it's impossible not to see the ripple effects of that one choice for Archie and Lily in terms of just how exposed their lives will be. And already are, in contrast to their cousins Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. There are approximately 1001 ways in which their childhood will differ from that of the Wales trio back in the UK. Not least that Archie and Lily will never be made to spend a precious springtime Saturday waving from a carriage while pretending to enjoy the bagpipes, but this paparazzi factor is a huge one. While George, Charlotte and Louis are expected to pose for annual birthday pics along with those for Father's and Mother's Days and Christmas, at least they generally happen in their back garden with the snaps taken by a camera-wielding Kate. Yes, George, Charlotte and Louis have to share themselves with the public and have no say over the matter, an obligation that is already an immutable part of their lives. But what William and Kate have that Harry and Meghan don't, shush, whoever yelled, a clue, is control. A hell of a lot more control over how and when their children are put on display. While George, Charlotte and Louis face expectations and demands that Archie and Lily never will, the little Sussexes will grow up with the knowledge that whenever they leave the privacy of the high-walled, gated enclave they call home, it is open season on them in terms of the paps. Let me strenuously point out that I am not for a single, solitary second condoning this. The sad reality is that the American prince and princess will grow up without the benefit of the curbs and restrictions on the press when it comes to children that do apply in the UK. While the first year or so of George's life saw some similar paparazzi action in London. At some stage his parents came to an understanding with Fleet Street. They would put out those aforementioned staged kid pics, and in return adult men with large cameras would not stalk their toddler son as he wobbled around Kensington Gardens' Round Pond. These days, German and Italian tabloid mags do occasionally buy and run pap shots of the Wales kids, however, the UK press does not. A notable exception was in 2021 when William, Kate, and their three were photographed while out having a pub lunch. But given that the prince and princess did not make any sort of objection to the Press Complaints Commission, well, some might even think they were happy for such a moment to make the papers. Still, there has never, ever been a long lens shot of George, Charlotte, or Louis being dropped off or picked up from school. There has already been for Archie, even though he is much younger. The Wales kids have never, ever been snapped playing in their various gardens plural by the press. Archie has. There is an agreement in place between Kensington Palace and the Fourth Estate in the UK that royal children won't be surreptitiously or sneakily photographed. Except when, say, the kids get taken somewhere where William and Kate know there will be press, e.g. a horse show. When Harry and Meghan made the move to the West Coast, they gave up these protections and lost a lot of control over the press's interaction with their kids. The rules and governing guidelines that mean we have never seen a photo of Kate taking her three to the supermarket do not apply over there in the US. The Prince and Princess of Wales can and are able to shield their family from the press in a way that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex never will again. While it's not to say things are perfect back in Britain, they are certainly better. For example, in January 2019, Harry and Meghan decided to give up their rented Cotswolds weekend after the Sun took photos of their backyard. However, their former official home, Frogmore Cottage, was part of the Windsor estate, therefore there were, reportedly, certain airspace restrictions in place. While Harry and Meghan have taken a strong, litigious stance to defend their family's privacy, if they want to keep doing so it will require even more legal bills, even more going on the offensive. The cases that they brought against Splash and X17 back in 2020 were not enough to prevent this week's Harry and Lily photos, were they? Living in the US, the Sussex kids will grow up with the constant looming knowledge that a photographer might be watching at any given time. That will now be a permanent part of their mental furniture. Archie and Lily will be the subjects of lifelong public fascination, if not obsession. Especially when they become teenagers and young adults. This intrusion, the menacing presence of the Paps, will only become more of a feature of their lives. In the 3 and a bit years that the Sussexes have been in the US, they have been repeatedly papped hiking, at the beach, shopping, out and about in Los Angeles, doing charity, getting on and off private jets, and leaving a number of restaurants, apartments, and offices on both the west and east coasts. Aside from that pub shot, not a single unplanned or unauthorized photo of William, Kate, or their kids has appeared. So back to that irony. On a weekend when the United States was celebrating its emancipation from tyrannical British rule, something that the Duke and Duchess would surely be able to relate to, so began the lifelong erosion of Lily's privacy. So much for freedom. Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey through the enchanting world of royal families. At Royal Family News Update, we strive to bring you the latest news, intriguing stories, and exclusive insights from the lives of the most esteemed families across the globe.